Okay. All right. So, hi, everyone. I think we're live. All right. So, today, what I'm going to be doing is covering math formulas showing how the memory rainbow technique can help you learn almost anything. It can help you learn even mathematics. And I was playing around with this. I use Canva. Canva is really great. If you haven't been introduced to Canva, you can definitely get yourself a free account, or you can get the pro account, which I have, which allows you to use a little bit more of the elements that it provides. But you definitely can start learning how to compose your memory, which is basically what I do. Sometimes I draw them. I'm not a natural artist. I learned to do a few things on YouTube. So I found the composition method to be fast and much more efficient and effective for me, since I can't really draw that well. So one of the things I use, like I said, I use Canva because it provides a lot of elements, and there are other programs out there that you can use to help you with this. So thank you for tuning in. I'm Dr. Lewis, Marjorie Lewis of the Memory Rainbow Academy, and I invented this particular program using the elements of the rainbow. There's a nice chart on YouTube that I've uploaded with up to maybe the first 50 or so different elements, power heroes, and symbols that can help you with your memorization. And as time goes on, I will be adding more to that. So let me show you real quick. Let's see if I can find this. First of all, let me see. We're talking about charts. Just to show you real quick, I'm going to open this with QuickTime Player. Sorry about that. There's an airplane passing above us. And I'm going to show you very quickly, if you're not familiar, this chart is a chart that I made up, which makes it really easy for you to start learning in groups of 10 how the memory rainbow technique works. Once you learn it, it is very efficient and will be very helpful. So I'll go over it very quickly before I go back to Canva. And I have 10 colors of my rainbow. I made some adjustment to the usual rainbow towards the end. The first colors are the same, the Roy G. Biv. I simply converted the last two colors into purple and then added gold, silver, white, and black, because we have sort of a base 10 system in English. And so I needed to have 10 colors for it to work as I move up in groups of 10, like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and so forth. So the first color is red, which is the usual color of the rainbow. It coincides with our number system, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. And then the alphabet system, they're all grouped together. So it creates a nice system. So you have red is 1 and A, and the symbol is simple apple or atom, which is the power hero. There's also a book that goes along with this, which I hopefully will be able to publish at some time in the future. It's about power heroes and the different capitals of the United States. You have different student representatives from each of our 50 states that works with these power heroes, which are from other planets around the galaxy, and they're there to try to save the Earth from the Pipers. That's kind of like the whole cliche story, but it works very well as you begin to see that they all fit in a very, very specific order. And so that's what helps me to learn it, because I also have the personality of the power heroes and the symbols. So B, okay, you've got orange, the second color of the rainbow. It's the ROY. Okay, and this is the orange, and the bird represents that number. Yellow is number 3. C is the third letter, and cat is the symbol, and CATT is actually the power hero female. And then it's Rory G, and then G is for the dog. This is the 4th number, and the letter is D. And then B represents Mother Eve. You have Adam in for 1 and Eve for blue. She's number 5. Her name starts with E. His name starts with A. And the 5th letter, of course, would be E, and you have got the elephant. I also sometimes use the blue eagle, and they all are colored. So you'll have a green dog, a yellow cat. All of them take on the color of the digits that they represent. And purple is 6. F is the letter, and the purple firefox down here, as you can see, is the symbol, and sort of like Fireboy is the power hero. So you have gold here, number 7, and Golden 7. She is the head of this MAJO, which is part of my name. I just kind of made something up. Military Alliance for Justice and Order, this group of power heroes and students from all 50 states joining together to save the planet. So she's head of it, and her number is 7. The letter is G for golden, and the giraffe, the golden giraffe, is the symbol for that particular color and number set. Go on over to silver. It's number 8, and H, of course, is the 8th letter. And Pegasus, you know the old mythical Pegasus. I've used Pegasus. This is a winged horse, and I used the H so that it represents the Pegasus horse. The flying horse is another horse later on, number 28, which is the masked rider's horse, and that is a different horse with no wings, so you won't be able to mix up the two. Number 9 is white for the ibis. The white ibis is this, these birds that we have in Florida that are everywhere. They're beautiful birds. They're kind of annoying sometimes when you're mowing the lawn or walking around. They have no fear of humans, and they're all over the place. They're beautiful, though. And they spread out in huge numbers, and it's almost like snow on the grass. They're so beautiful. Okay, so black is the 10th color, and J is the 10th letter, and the jaguar is the symbol of this particular group. Okay, so then we have 26 letters in our alphabet. So I use all those 26 letters and named animals to go along with them. And then after that, it changes a little bit, and you'll see. So quickly, let me do this very quickly. You start with number 11 up to 20 here. You've got K for the king. It's the 11th letter. You get the drift here. Is K, and the king, and I use the king is the red king or the red crown. He's the king of keys, so you might see keys that are red representing that particular group. You've got 12 is our lion, and it's the orange lion because it's got the orange color. The monkey or moon woman is 13. Ninja girl, she's over here at 14. You've got the owl, the blue owl. I made that kind of stylistic, but any blue owl that you'd like to use can be used. And then you have the peacock, is the 16th letter, and that's also the prince and princess of peace. The peacock is kind of funny. Remember, I'm not an artist, so if you want to laugh at my artwork, no problem. You can submit some of your own artwork. I'll be happy to use some of it, because I'm sure some of you out there are magnificent artists. I see them on YouTube, and I'm so jealous of people who can actually draw. I cannot. So, hey, just to let you know, I'm doing the best I can here. So you have gold, and that's 17, and that's Q, and that is the queen. So you will pick up, I know the average person is not going to know that the 17th letter of the alphabet is Q. They just don't think of it that way. But once you use the system, you're going to begin to know these letters and these numbers, that they add up and they match, because all of the symbols and the personalities of the queen and so forth. And once you get into the story and how they work, it becomes easy memorization, especially if you're a visual learner. This is a great system for visual learners, as I've been investigating that the visual learner needs to be able to see and to draw and that's how they take in information into their memories. So then we go into 18 is the robot for R, and that's a beautiful story about the robot. It's more like an android with the heart of a man, and he comes to Earth, and tries to figure out how to be human because he somehow has a heart of a human being. And that's kind of a nice story that I love. Star Woman, and here you have the white star because it is 19. It ends in the color, and the number 9, which takes the color white. Oh, by the way, since we're in the double digit series, I forgot to tell you that going back to number 10, any number that ends in a 0 from 1 to 1,000 takes the color black, no matter what. It's the dominant color. You can have some minor colors, but that's the dominant color. And then when you go on, the second digit at the end is always the dominant color. So when you have 11, the dominant color is red. In this case, they're both 1. The 12, the dominant color becomes orange, even though you have the first one that has a little bit of red. All of them will have a little bit of red all the way up to 19, but the dominant color is the last digit, okay? It's same for 13. This is yellow, 14, green, 15, blue, 16, purple, 17, gold, 18, silver, 19, white, and that's why you have the white star. Then we are now on 20. It is notice this ends in 0, so it takes on the color black, and the letter is T for tiger, and this is one of the main characters in my book. Tiger Boy, sort of like Tig. It's called Tig, and Missy Jackson. Now, that's interesting. You're like, Missy Jackson, where'd that come from? Well, guess what? The 20th state to join the Union was Mississippi, and Jackson is the capital of Mississippi. So I use those names, to play with those names, to create the characters of the students who joins up with the superhero or the power heroes from that particular planet or galaxy, wherever they're from. So Missy Jackson, Missy for Mississippi, Jackson for the capital of Mississippi, and her name is Missy Jackson. And she and Tig, T-I-G, who is from Tigray, the planet, okay? And for me, it's like the 20th planet from the sun, right? Just to play with how things are set up, trying to keep things in order. All right, and then we can move on quickly to, let's see if we can get to the 30s. We're going to go to finish the 20s. 21 is a red unicorn. Why? Because it ends in the number 1, and it carries the red color. 22, these are the Victory Boys. These are the power heroes. They're twin brothers, and their violin has this powerful violin that can do all kinds of things, including split the earth in half, and the song from the violin can hypnotize and do a lot of interesting things. Go on to 23. We've got the Yellow Wolf, and the power hero is going to be Weather Woman. She's a humanoid, a human who developed powers, actually, and sort of became sort of like a humanoid. And so she and her wolf, Yellow Wolf, represents 23 and W. Then green is X-View. He has the ability to X-ray. He has X-ray vision and can read anything, look through the body, X-ray, and so forth. Has that power to record what he sees and so forth. And the X-View binoculars are the symbol that I chose for him. Yeah. Now, interesting. 25. The yesterday is the. Actually, I should change this to be the Blue Yeti. Is actually this power hero here. It's the Blue Yeti, but the superhero, the power hero, is actually, her name is Yesterday, which is kind of interesting. She has the power to see everything that happened yesterday, right? So it's interesting. So, but this particular symbol is going to be the Blue Yeti. All right, and Now, for 26, we have the last true letter of our alphabet, Z, and some people know it as Z, but it's a Z in America, and it is the zebra. So it's the purple 0. The number ends in a 6, which is the color purple. Yes. All right. Now, gold. These are ones I added. I wanted to round off our alphabet. I feel like we should have had 29 letters, and then it would have made life so much easier for us. But we stopped at 26. I don't know why. We should have completed 27, 28, and 29. So because we didn't, I decided to go ahead and do that. So BG, so I created new letters, right? Because I need to use the computer, I can't just add my own single letter, okay, unless I use some of the symbols there as a letter, which I did in one case. But I decided to just go ahead and maintain our regular system of lettering. And for example, number 2 is B and number 7 is G. So the new letter for 27 is BG, okay? And then you have Cupid, Marvelous and Magnificent are the power heroes. So they're brothers and sisters like Cupid, right? And then for 28, 2 is B once again, and 8 goes along with the letter H. So BH, so these are composite letters that I've invented that you can actually use now as letters to make up words. You'll be able to see how later on how I use those. And in this case, this is the masked horse. Remember, 8 was Pegasus, like the winged Pegasus, and this one is the masked rider, and this is his horse with the horse less. The horse without wings is 28, and the letter is BH. 29 is another one that I had to make up. And the power hero is Change. He wears a white glove because he has the ability to change into anything that he touches. So he has to wear his white gloves so that he doesn't become you if he shakes your hand. So, and his letter is B, I. So 2 and B and 9 and I is the 9th letter. So I rounded out the letter system that I believe should have been done originally. So I've done that. And if we have a computer in some way in the future that can turn these into single letters, that would be beautiful. But in the meantime, this is the best that I could do with it. And then after that, I started with the 30 series. And you'll notice here, for this 0, we don't have a letter for 0. That's another thing that's missing. Why don't we have a letter to correspond to 0? We should. We have everything else. We needed a letter to correspond to 0. So I wanted something that's on the computer that's already there. So, if you're typing, you want to be able to use it. So the closest I came to was the ampersand sign, right? Because they both are sort of circular and they have that infinity kind of symbolism to them. So C ampersand is the letter for number 30. And then when it becomes 40, it will be D ampersand, right? So let me move on and show you the rest of the 30 series. Okay. So 31, the letter, and all of them now gets letters. You have letters all the way up to hundreds and thousands, right? You can create whatever you want. So you don't have to, but it's CA. Remember, just keep this. It's the same system. There's nothing big to figure out. 3 is C, right? And 1 is A, so CA is the new letter for number 31. But you probably won't use it that much unless you start writing words. If you do need to write words and use the letters to create words, if you have a long number system and you want to do that, or you want to do it in vice versa, it's up to you. But the most important thing are going to be the symbols. That's what I really, really use. I don't use the letters as much, but I use the symbols. The tree. Now look at all of these trees. They are, let me see if I can expand this, if it make it easier. No, it's still in my way there. Okay. So you have the red tree, orange tree, yellow tree, green, blue, purple, gold, silver, white, and black. So now we already did the black tree, sorry, which was number 30. I'm like, where is it? We had just looked at it. So then it goes up to 39, which is the white tree, right? So you kind of see it's the same system. As it turns over, you're going to have the black and then the red and then end in a white, because it's going along with our numerical system and the way our Arabic system already is laid out. So all of these trees, for example, the golden tree, if you want to write something poetic, you can talk about the golden tree. Anything with number 37 is a golden tree. The white tree, 39. The red tree, you can attach scriptures, poems, anything that you want to this, and you'll see it works beautifully. And so now for number 40, I'm just going to run through this. It gets easier because you don't have to, once you get by the first 26 letters and the 3 that I added, 27, 28, and 29, everything is like a group of the same. So it becomes really, really easy. Like the 30s are all trees. They're just black tree to white tree, right? And then for the 40s are all sheep or shepherds or guardians. They are all biblical characters back in the day of Jesus when he was born, the shepherds and the sheep, and shepherds at night, with their sheep. And they get promoted by the creator in my book, the fantasy world, science fiction world. They get promoted, though, to be guardians of the universe, right? But they get the theme from the Bible. So you wonder where the sheep come from. And these are not the most beautiful sheep. Remember, I'm just kind of like not an artist and I'm playing around here. So you can send me your lovely images of a sheep, and if you let me use it, maybe I will swap out these. So you have your red sheep, or orange, yellow sheep, green, blue, purple, gold, silver, and white sheep, right? And their letters here, if you want to convert them, the letters are there that can be used, and you'll find them useful. Then I move on to the 50 series. And this is the biblical theme for this are the prophets, right? So you start off with the number 50 was the black prophet. So you have the black staff. They carry these long, like Moses. I think just 1 second. The camera just went out. Okay, the camera's going to go back and forth every so many minutes. Unfortunately, it has to reset itself. Thank goodness it automatically sets itself when it's recording or not. When it's on, it goes on and off. So prophets, the prophets such as Jeremiah, Moses, all these types of men, they would carry these long staffs and so forth. So that's what these staffs represent. And they all have colors from black to white and all the colors of the rainbow in between and the ones I've added, so that each number has its own color staff, and you'll be able to see it when you're doing even multiplication tables. You'll be able to use these symbols to substitute for numbers. So you have 50 to 59. And then I think this is the last one I did on this particular group. And land number 60 also represents a biblical theme of bridesmaids. They're the 5 smart and the 5 foolish, 5 with oil in their lamp and 5 without. And so when the bridegroom shows up, 5 of them are ready to go and the other 5 aren't. So basically it's just a theme of using oil in your lamp and maintaining yourself prepared at all times. So these lanterns are representing colors all the way from black to white and all the colors of the memory rainbow in between. So you'll be able to see how they're being used, and I have some examples of using them. So that's basically this group, and the 70s are the angels set up in the same way. 80s are fish or fishermen or fisher boats. 90s is ice, from black ice to white ice, right? And then you get to 100. These are scales of justice. You see the scales that are weighed, and those are being used. So I'm finishing up the chart so that it'll be easy for you to see and visualize, but that's basically how they're grouped. And so it's very easy to remember. All right, now, let me see. Let me run back to, let's see. Where are we here? Let me get back to Canva. Let's see. Actually, this is, let me see if I can, is this opened? Didn't realize this one was open, but let me go back to, let's see if I have this. Okay, so multiplication tables, right? This is something that I also put together on Canva. And you doing your multiplication table, one of the worst ones, as I mentioned before, just very quickly, is a 9 times table. And that's why I kind of focused on it, because it always used to give me some trouble. And until I kind of started, I decided I'm going to compose the 9 times table using my system to see if I can remember it. And do you know, I remember this thing so well, backwards and forwards. I have no problem remembering my 9 times table. So I know it works. 9 times 1, you have here the red apple and the white ibis, right? That's a simple, easy one. You move on to 2. Here you have 9 times 2 is going to be 18. 18 represents the silver robot, and the bird is the orange bird, number 2. So 2, 9 times 2. So you see the symbol of the 2, and the answer is 18. So they're interacting with each other. So in your mind, you're just going to see, anytime you're thinking of 9 times 2, you're going to see the orange bird sitting on the arm of the robot. And at first you might say, oh, that's not a big deal. But as you go on, it gets a little tougher. And 9 times 3 is 27. So you've got the cat sitting on top of Cupid, right? And just keep that image in your mind. 9 times 4, remember the answer is 36. So you have 4 is the green dog. So he's sitting on the purple tree. And 9 times 5, that's going to be the blue elephant. And that's 45. 45, the answer is a blue sheep. Remember, you end it, whatever ends the end number represents that color, so that's blue. And the 40 series are all sheep or shepherds or guardians of the universe. Okay, so 9 times 5, 45. You just keep that image. Here's one with one of those prophets' rods, those long sticks or whatever they carry around. So 9 times 6 is 54. So you've got this green, okay, so you've got this purple firefox holding this green stick in his mouth. So that's kind of an image that you cannot forget. Just close your eyes and think about this purple firefox holding this long green stick. That's the answer to 9 times 6. And it makes it so much easier, and your brain will just take that information. It may seem wacky, but the wackier, the better. 9 times 7, you've got golden 7's giraffe here, and 63. Remember, this is the lamp series. It's gonna be you just have to remember the series. 60 represents the lamps or lanterns, and it's a yellow one because it ends in a 3. So you've got this golden giraffe holding this yellow lantern in his mouth. That's the answer to 7 times 63. You know, that's something I will never forget. 9 times 8 is 72. This is another one you cannot forget. Why? Because you've got 8. Remember, 8 represents the winged horse, Pegasus, Pegasus. And Pegasus is actually giving a ride to another winged power hero, an orange angel, if you can imagine. So here you have a situation with 2 winged creatures, Pegasus and the orange angel is just relaxing and enjoying the ride. even though it can fly away on its own. But Pegasus is giving a ride to the orange angel, feeling a little lazy today. Okay, so that's a nice image. 9 times 8, 72. And you always say 9 times the number and the others so that you have it keep it in order. Order is very important. So 9 times 9, right? And 9 in this case, once again, the white ibis. And it becomes, remember, the 80 series is the fish, the fisherman, which is also another biblical theme, and the fisher boat, right? So the red fish, 80, anytime the number ends in 1, it's going to be red, dominant. So you've got the white ibis holding this poor red fish in its beak, okay? So very, very strong image that you should not forget. 9 times 10 is 90. You've got the black jaguar here. And it's on black ice because number 90 represents ice. Number 90 is the ice series from black to white, different types, different color ice. This is a whole ice family, and power here are called ice. All right, so we have 10 is the black jaguar. So 9 times this black jaguar gives you 90 black ice. So you see this black jaguar skating on skates. In your mind, I couldn't draw that, so I had to compose it. And the black skates represents the black ice. You see a little bit of the black ice here that it's skating on. And then you have another one here that comes right up with the red king, which is 11. And his is 99, and he's ice skating on white ice this time, right? Because the 90 series is ice, and white is always going to be that dominant color. And this should be white and not black. So this was an error here that I made. So this should be 99 should be in white. Okay, and let me move this over. 9 times 12, that's 108. Now, not too many people knows that 9 times 12 is 108. How do you ever remember that? Most people don't remember it. I mean, you just have to be honest, right? But I don't have to worry about remembering that anymore. Why? Because 9 times 12 is the orange lion holding the scale of justice in his mouth, weighing none other than the number 8, Pegasus, the winged horse. So you can imagine it's flopping out his wings, the lion is growling, it's holding the scale of justice, seeing, have you been good today? Yes, no, let's, so you've got this giant lion weighing Pegasus. That is 108. It's just very simple. If you learn it, you're never going to forget this. You'll never forget this. And let's see if I have any more. Yeah, 13. You can even continue, right? Here it is, 9 times 13. You've got 13 represents the yellow monkey or the moon woman or the moon itself. You can use that. And 17 is the golden queen. 100 represents the scale of justice. So you can imagine, so the monkey is holding onto the scale of justice, weighing a bust of the queen, the golden queen. So that gives you 117 is the answer to 9 times 13. Just keep the symbols in mind. Close your eyes, rehearse the symbols, and you don't have to worry about what the numbers, because the numbers are intangible. They don't make any sense to our brain. Unless you're a complete left brain person and you're not a visual learner, you're not a right brain artistic person, these numbers just make no sense at all. So, but the symbols all of a sudden turns them into characters, and they become more lovable and fun. And you would be surprised how useful this is. So I would go ahead and give it a try because it really works. I used to have a hard time with this. I do not have a problem anymore. 9 times 14. You have Ninja. This is Ninja Girl. She's holding on to the scale, and she's weighing what? The zebra, right? The last letter represented Z. Okay, so she's got the zebra on her scale, right? So you just have to kind of put these images together. Here you have the giant ninja holding the scale of justice, weighing the zebra. So the color should stick in your mind, the colors and the activity, and you can have them interacting with each other. You can have them talking to each other. You can have them fighting, arguing, whatever you need to do to have that image stick in your mind. And I think I did one last one. I did 9 times 15, and you can go as much as you want, as far as you want. You can remember, and you don't have to remember every single number, but every one that you remember makes you feel a little bit smarter, just a little bit brighter. Because every time I think of 20 times 20, and that's 400, I'm like, hey, that's real easy. That's 2 tigers multiplied by each other equals a black nurse. 400, because the symbol for a black nurse is 400. Then you have the red nurse all the way up to the white nurse, and it's so simple. So all of these different numbers, even in the hundreds, have symbols, but I keep them in sets. So you don't have to remember every single number, because that would be crazy. Even the first set of 29 is not bad, because you have the alphabet. That's going to help you think of, A for apple, B for bird, so it's not going to be that difficult for the first 29 letters that we have. And then each one, the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s, the trees, the sheep, the prophets, the lanterns, the angels, the fish, the fishermen, the white ice. And then 100 is the scale of justice, and that's going to be represented by the judges, the main judges, like the judges of the Supreme Court, and they're the main ones weighing, responsible for justice. And their symbol is this, right? So you can, once you start to learn the story, you can use the power heroes, you can use the student heroes, American heroes, you can learn the capitals of the U.S. and the states and their capitals, because you're going to learn the names of the student power heroes and the humanoid power heroes from outer space. So in this case, 15 represents both the blue owl and the blue oracle. The oracle can see the future, and she has this ability to sense things. And just like an owl is kind of mysterious, so is the oracle. And here you have the blue owl or oracle, whichever you prefer, holding the scale of justice and is weighing the blue tree. And it's kind of nice because they're both blue. So sometimes you have a situation where you did have the blue elephant holding that blue sheep. Remember that? And here you have a blue owl weighing the blue tree. So that's kind of nice. So whatever you can put together will help you. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of an introduction, so that was good. So let me get rid of that. Let's go back to, let me see, I'll keep this open in case we need to go back to take a look at it. Let me go back to the beginning though. Okay, all right. And let's see what I have in Canva, how I use this. All right, and so I started playing around too with Canva again, looking at more math, because, most of us, let's face it, just do not love mathematics. I don't know why, but our brain, it just seemed like it wasn't developed to learn math. There are some people who are good at math. They're just born as savants. They're just good at whatever they do. Their left brain just like exploded, and they can multiply, divide long, ridiculous numbers in their heads. But there are a lot of people like that in this world. They're very far and few between, okay? The vast majority of us see a math problem and cringe like, oh no, you've got to be kidding me. A formula, no. I don't even want to look at it. So I'm definitely one of those persons. I'm not crazy about it. However, I've had to learn a lot of formulas along the way, as I studied medicine, became a physician. I wish I had had this system back in high school, college, med school. I would have been phenomenal had I developed a system like this, because when I think about all the formulas that I had to sit there by rote memory and memorize it and then forget it, memorize it and forget it. I had a friend in medical school who once said, he was so funny, he said the brain is like a sponge. You soak up all this knowledge, during the weeks before the exam. And as you take the exam, you ace it, you pass it, whatever. And as soon as it's over, you just take that sponge and you squeeze out all that knowledge, you throw it away, because you have to start all over again. And to keep from losing your mind, it was always best to get rid of all that knowledge and start from scratch. And so I never forget, it was so funny. So I wish I had my system at the time, and I wouldn't have had to worry about squeezing all that knowledge out of my brain, because you can keep all this knowledge in the form of symbols and not be overwhelmed and get depressed, at the coming of the next exam. So here we go. I'm just taking a look at basic things like inches and centimeters. We have the metric system, and we haven't really fully embraced the metric system in America. People who are watching from other countries are using centimeters and meters. We're still using feet and inches. So every time we have to use centimeters, we have to do a conversion system. Especially as a doctor, we have to have our calculator, and especially when we deal with children, and you've got to get in there, and you have to know how to convert pounds to this and that, and it can be a pain. So I decided to try to see with Canva if I can make some of these conversions. So 1 inch, which is like an apple, is equal to 2.54 centimeters, right? So for me, it's the orange bird, and I put a little period there, a dot, and 54 is like the prophet's rod. So it's green, 4 would be green. So remember the 50 series, all the prophets. So it's like this bird holding this long green rod with a dot. And you can make the dot, you can make these. Sometimes I would do this. I would put dots on the actual element that represents the part of the whole. Like this rod can be dotted. If you, in your mind, you want to remember that it's a period. If you want, you can put the period in the center between the bird and the rod, or if you want to, you can put the bird holding the rod, and the rod has dots on it, like polka dots. It would remind you that that's less than the 1. So whichever is easiest for you to do, I do sort of interchange. Either one is the same. So that's something that's you'll always, and I like to use a system to remember things that you must know permanently. 1 inch will forever be 2.54 centimeters. It will never change. So it's okay. This is the kind of thing that you want to use the memory rainbow for, to knock out all these things, the formulas that will never change, that you will have to learn and memorize basically for the rest of your life. As long as you're a student, as long as you're involved in the process of learning, there'll be some situations where you may have to make this conversion. Just measure in your house, your room, your floor, whatever. Some of these things will come up, and if you know it, you're going to feel good about yourself that, you know what, all I see is this little orange bird holding this green stick. Okay, so that's an apple equals this, so 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. And you don't have to check with your friend or Google it, everything you can Google, but it's nice to know a few things. You don't have to have ChatGPT do everything for you. You kind of want to, do a few things for yourself to keep your brain developed so our brain doesn't atrophy. We still have to, even though ChatGPT can do a lot for us now as humans, you want to do a little for yourself so you don't kind of become a couch potato totally in your brain. So 5 inches just in general, I think it actually comes to 12.7 centimeters if you do it, calculate it out, but you can just average things out. So 5 inches, if you're just working with something very quickly, would be about 13 centimeters. So think of this 5 inch, this is the elephant, the blue elephant would be equivalent to the yellow monkey. in centimeters, right? So on this side, you have Europe. You can kind of think of this as America and Europe, all right? So over here, we've got our blue elephant, and over in the European side, we've got our yellow monkey, right? And so that's 5 inches. It just kind of give you. So you can kind of do this for different things for yourself and do the composition. Here, I thought this was kind of cute because if you're a student, if you're not a student, you might say, I don't really know what this is, or I don't really care. And that's fine. That's fair enough, right? But it's just an idea if something like this comes up to show you that you can use it. So most likely people who are going to tune in anyway to a channel like this have to be students. Otherwise, they probably won't tune in anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, if you're interested in knowing the circumference of a circle, maybe you or maybe your children may be interested in knowing this. Maybe you can, as a parent, you might be able to pass this on to somebody that you love, right? So C equals 2 times pi times r. And for those of you who know anything about a circle, r is radius. And when you go all the way across, that's the diameter. And around it is the circumference. And there's actually a formula to figure out the circumference. Why? I have no idea, but you know what? If you're a student, you have to know it. So what I have is I have my yellow cat is equivalent to, I have 2 representing the orange bird. And pi, I just kept it as a pie, a slice of pie, right? And then r is the robot. So this is my composition of the circumference of a circle. You would think that this is ridiculous, but you remember it because you've got the cat. I've got my cat here, and you can actually move this. This is what I love about using Canva. You can bring the cat over, and those of you who can draw, to move something on an angle, there's this little symbol here. You see that kind of coming and going there. So you just kind of turn it. So you can have your cat, and you know how cats love birds, right? So you've got the cat seeing the bird saying, oh, you look like you're busy. The cat comes up to the bird. This is the orange bird. The orange bird is what? Eating the pie. And the robot is holding on to the pie. If I can't draw that, okay? So I'll probably have to get the AI to create that image if it can do it. Holding the pie. Imagine the robot holding the pie in his hand, and the orange bird flies down and is eating that pie, and the cat is like trying to get to the bird. So you kind of make it into a scene. So that is, in fact, so that this is always coming up. Let me just move that off to the side. Okay, so that is one. Let me take a look at another one. The area of the circle is another one that students have to know. And area equals pi r squared, right? So now you have an apple, or you can use red atom interacting with a pie. So here's the pie being held once again by the robot, but this time, instead of the bird eating the pie in the area situation, it's a tiny little orange bird, still representing the number 2, but it's right on the head of the robot. See how it sits there right on the side, tiny? Well, that means square. So pi r squared. So it sits there right on the head as because it hasn't jumped down yet. Eventually, it's going to jump down, and when it comes down to eat the pie, it's going to start creating the circumference formula, right? So right now it's on top of, or it flies away, or maybe the cat scares it away, and now it flies on top of the robot's head to escape the cat. And in this case, it creates the area, pi r squared, right? So that is how you can start composing these things. Here's one. This is the volume of a cylinder, So once again, you have pi, you have r squared, and you have the height. right? So if you wanted to, you could go in here and you can get the pie. Let me see if I can go back and get, I have, so you can just copy that and you can just paste it if you already have it. Oops, let's see, V, okay, there's your pie. And then you can go back and you can get your robot. Okay, you can get it with that. Just, I can actually group those two together. Here, over here, you have the group, and you can group those two, and then I can Command C or Control C on your computer. I'm using a Mac, so Command V to paste it. If you don't want to use the commands, you can just go up here. As soon as you bring your cursor, it will show you the menu at the top, and you can just hit edit, and then you can do cut or paste in that situation. So here I have pie. So here you have, imagine the robot is holding the pie. And then we need one more. And I will, let's see if I could find, oh, I think I have it here. Hold on, let's see. Oh, here, there it is. Let me copy that. Command C. And I'm going to paste Command V. Now, I did group this together, so all I have to do is ungroup it. Here's the group, so that I can, and hit it again, and then I can remove those things. I can actually just delete that. That was a different composition. This is Pegasus, the winged horse. All right. Let me just open it up a little bit so that you can see it a little bit better. Okay, now I can straighten it out a little bit. I can actually flip it. If it looks like Pegasus is heading that way away from the party, so let's bring him back. Up here in this left upper quadrant, let's see, can you see that? Let me see if you can see that on Canva. I don't know if you can see. I may have to make this smaller for it to be visible. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Let me get rid of, I don't need this particular overlay. Let me get rid of that. Okay, good. Okay, so let's get rid of that overlay. And let's see if I can put this back up here now. Okay, good. I think that's perfect. Let's see if I can enlarge it. Oh, if I enlarge it, it looks like it cuts it off. So I won't enlarge it then. Maybe what I'll do, I can just expand it this way. See how far I can go. All right. So, wait, let me bring this over. Okay, all right. So here, if you have an object like anything, and you want to flip it, if it's going to the right, you can flip it to the left. So right here, I'm going to hit my command. So you can see it says flip. Okay, so you flip that, and you can decide if you want it to be horizontal or vertical. So in this case, I want it to go side to side, so that's horizontal. So I can easily bring Pegasus into the party, so it's part of the fun over here. So V, if I wanted something V, let's see if I have the violin. I'm not sure. To find your uploads from your projects, over here in Canva, you have your designs, you have the elements, uploads, text, your project, your photos. Let me see, audio, background. You can change the background. You can change your these are different projects that I have. And then you can even continue with different apps. And I will take a look at those in a minute. So if I want to do my uploads, you can bring in your own uploads from your computer, which is what I did. So I'm looking for, let's see if I have the violin. I may have brought it in earlier, but I don't know if I still have it here. Probably. All right, so I don't see the violin here. Okay, what I'll do is I'll just search. I'll go into Elements, and I will see if there's a violin that I can just use for a minute. So let's see. Here is, you can do see all. Oh, here's an orange violin. Oh, that's cute. Here is even an orange violin. Oh, wow, it's got music on it. Wow. Okay, we have a party violin here. All right, so we'll hold on to that. I have my own violin, which I think I used before, but I'll go ahead and use this for now. Sometimes as I'm composing, I'll use some of Canva's elements, and then I'll swap them out for some of my own artwork. So this is a nice way to substitute it, because you have the right to use it, especially since I have Canva Pro. They let us use it as long as we're not just copying or taking somebody's work, that you're using it in a composition. Canva does allow you to use it. So I could use it if I want to, but I do like using some of my own, but I didn't see it uploaded there, so I will go ahead and use this for the moment. It's kind of cute. So violin for volume, if you'd like to use that. V for the Victory Boys. Those are the twin boys. All right, and their color is orange. The number is 22 because V is the 22nd letter of the alphabet. I know them offhand because I've been doing this for a long time, but believe me, you will too, right? Because you can even think of two. The bird is orange, so two oranges, 22, and victory, you're going to have that violin is going to stick in your mind. So instead of the bird, you'll have the violin. So here we have pi, r square, and now you're going to think of that little orange bird forever will be r square in any of your formulas. Get yourself a robot. You can use my robot. You can use the robots, and Canva has a robot there that you can use for free. Put the little bird. I think this bird might be from Canva because I don't have a number on it. My symbols, generally, I try to put a number on them or some symbol from the memory rainbow. So this is a little bird here that you can use on top of the robot for r square. The height, because of the h, becomes the horse, and the pi, you can always use pi 3.14 represents pi. So this is a scene here, and you've got this violin dancing around for you. Could you ask for anything more, right? And this represents a cylinder. So that is one formula there that is, I think, very nice. And I'm going to try to keep that one in my memory. This is the first time I'm actually creating this particular formula. So I don't know if I'm going to have the dancing violin in my brain when I think about it, but it might work, right? So you can think of that cylinder. And maybe all of this is happening inside the cylinder. If you want to, you can expand the cylinder. These are formulas that came from inside of Canva. I believe I got them from Canva. And so if you want to, you can expand this out and put them inside of a cylinder. If this one kind of gets a little crowded, you can always get another cylinder and put them inside of the cylinder. And if that makes it easy, cylinder, let's see. Yeah, here is a cylinder, let's see. And you can hit see all if you want any particular cylinder. Something, oh, here's something that's kind of, wait. Let's see how that's going to look. Okay, good. I think it's see-through. And you can just grab it and expand it. Grab it and expand it. So if you want the images, some of them will have it easier for you to open up a little bit wider. Okay, so that's, I think, as wide as I can get it. Another thing you can do, though, if you like, which is kind of cute, is turn the cylinder this way. And you can have that. You can have that. Look at that. There's a song. Right there, you've got this violin playing at the entrance of the cylinder, right? And you've got pi right there being held. Imagine it being held by the robot, pi r square. And you've got Pegasus, the winged horse, flapping its wing, maybe dancing to the music. Very good. Okay, so that's kind of interesting, turning it in this direction. Okay, so there's always a way to do something, right? Okay, so that's cool. This is interesting for me. I really wish I had this particular system. All right, let me close this up a little bit here so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, let me move this over. I think I'm blocking one of the symbols. Yeah. Okay, all right, there you go. Now, if you are a medical student or a nursing student, you might have come across this, Ranson's criteria. This is for pancreatitis. You know, when someone comes into the hospital, we have this system that we've had to memorize for ages, that doctors in the emergency room, if you go into an emergency room and you've been drinking too much and your pancreas starts acting up, a lot of times this is from alcoholic pancreatitis. Pancreas is one of the organs in your stomach that gets irritated a lot of times from alcohol. It could be from medications, but alcohol is very, very common. And we see it a lot in the emergency room in people who have a little drinking problem. So when they come in, the emergency room doctor has what this person looks like when they first come in at admission, and 48 hours, 2 days later, how this person looks. And this will determine how well this person is going to fare, how well they get better. And we sort of like to give them a criteria. And these are the things that we look at, these 4 or 5, I think 5 main parameters that we use when they come in. The first one we look at is the age of the patient, right? And if they're over 55, then things are bad, right? This is going to be like not a very good thing to be in this category, over 55. So what I use is, remember 50 series is the Prophets with the blue rod. So I have a blue Prophet here with none other than the blue rod. See how that nice stick is there? All right, that's from Canva, and that's pretty cool. So that's the age. So if you had to remember this as med students, as nursing students, think of the blue Prophet. Ranson's criteria, day 1, age 55. Anything older than that, not so good, right? Then you come down here. One of the other things we look at is blood sugar. Well, you need to remember blood glucose over 200 milligrams per deciliters, right? So 200 series, which we haven't covered, but I will do it right now, represents the airplane series, right? This is supersonic airplane, a very specialized airplane designed by the aliens, the humanoids, and so they look like regular airplane, but they're actually designed with an engine that's out of this world, basically, right? So the color starts with the same thing, 200 series, 0 ends in 0, it's black. If it ends in 201, it's red. 209, it's white. And this is where you stop from black to white, right? Will be the 9 airplanes that belong to these students, right? So 200 is a black airplane. And then you can imagine sugar cubes falling out of the plane, fogging up the almost like a foggy situation. And so it's sugar, think of sugar crystals crystallizing maybe on the windshield, right? So it's sugar instead of ice, right? So it's 200. So the black airplane. So you have the blue prophet with the blue rod and the black airplane, right? The next thing is going to be something called lactic acid, right? Those of you who are in pre-med or nursing students knows what lactic acid basically is, right? So we have something called lactic acid dehydrogenase. This is kind of this enzyme LDH that we can test for in your blood. And if that number is over 350, this is why the system is good, because you have to remember that's 55. This is 200, right? So you've got those other two. And now you have 350, right? So the 300 series comes in. It's 300 plus the 50, right? So 300 is represented by the black rose. These are the gardeners. The biblical thing has to do with the Garden of Eden, right? Once Adam and Eve got booted out, right? What happened to the garden? The garden was taken up in a globe. I have it in a globe, right? And new angels were assigned to guard it, and new gardeners were assigned to take care of the garden, because no longer would be Adam and Eve. That was their job, to take care of the garden. So now the gardeners are taking care of it. And so you have gardeners, all these 10 gardeners, right? You've got the black gardener, the red gardener, all the way to the white gardener. And one of the symbols I use is the rose. So you have a black rose, white rose, red rose, all the way to the white rose, right? So the reason I do that, because I need to find something that's easy for me to draw, easy for me to compose. So you can put a garden there if you want, or you can just use the rose. And in this case, you have lactic acid. I'm thinking of LDH. So I've used this that I got from Canva, this little flute here, a bottle that is being poured. Think of it as having acid, and it's being poured on top of this rose, turning the rose black, right? So just think of the acid nature turning this rose black. So you've got the black rose, and then you have number 50, which is also black, and it also turns, think of it as turning the rod, the prophet's rod, from blue up here to black, right? So you start off up here with a blue rod, and down here with a black rod. So this LDH is 350. So you have the black rose and you've got the black rod, right? So that represents, and you can have this in your mind. So you have the acid being poured on the rose, turning it black, turning the rod black. So you always remember that the LDH is 350. It's not 250, because when you do exams, the thing about exams in medicine is that it can look so easy, but it's very deceptive. So what they do is they put these multiple choice, and you think, oh, if it's multiple choice, oh, it's going to be easy. That's a lot better than writing out a paragraph like many other countries do in Europe. In England, they love to have you write an essay about stuff. Oh, no, not in America. They like to give you multiple choice, and you think, oh, that's easy. I know the answer. I can always pick it out. Well, think about it. It doesn't work that way. Because they're going to have a number. It's going to be 250, 350, 450, 550, or it'll be 340, 340, 240. You're like, and then you go, wait a minute, what was the number again? You think multiple choice questions are easy because the answer is there, and all you have to do is check it off. No, not how the brain works. If you do not have a system to very pointedly distinguish between, that's what they love in America. Here are two things that look alike. How are they different? And you go, oh my, that's really a whole different ball game. It tricks your brain is what it does. So this system helps you untrick your brain, because you have these colors and the system that's making sense. You're telling a story. Okay, and they're not going to be able to trick you because you know that this rose got turned black. Also, the prophet's rod got turned black. He started off blue and now it's black. That's got to be 350. It can't be anything else. You've got the plane with the crystals on the windshield. That's the sugar crystals. It's 200. So your sugar over 200. LDH, lactic acid, over 350, age over 55, blue prophet. Okay, so you start there. Then the numbers really do look alike, because now you have serum, alanine, transferase, right? This is one of the liver enzymes, right? And here it is, it's over 250. So you know, is it 250 or is it 350? So how are you going to distinguish this now? Because you see the numbers start to look alike. You've got 200, you got 350, you got 250. This is how they trick you. And those numbers begin to all look alike. And you're like, which one was the 350 again? Okay. Well, this is why you need a system. If you don't have a system, you're just going to go crazy. All right. So look at 250. So what I have 200, remember, is the black airplane. You're still using that 200 series, right? So we have two black airplanes. What's different about this one? It's got a 50 at the end of it. Remember, 50 is also prophet. So you've got the blue prophet, you've got the blue 50 here, which turned black. And then you've got another 50 here. So now in this case, you've got an airplane, and I found this cocktail or this alcoholic drink, and I just imagined this huge alcoholic drink outside in the sky, and the plane is holding on to this stick, almost like flying in a circle, mixing this drink, right? It may sound weird, but the weirder, the better. Imagine this supersonic airplane is flying around mixing this alcoholic beverage, right? And the stick is black. So it's, okay, my camera just stopped again. So, okay, it's back on again. So that's great. I hope my lips are synced, okay, because I tried to do a little bit of a delay and I didn't even check to see. Hopefully my lips are keeping up with my words. And I don't have anyone to tell me. Let me see if I have any comments. No, I don't. So let me go back to, just to make sure at least I'm live, right? I didn't schedule this, so I don't have anyone there to tell me if my lips are in sync or not, because I'm still in that stage of learning and enjoying myself and making this fun. All right, so there we have it. So we have two. So for Ranson's criteria, these are the admission criteria for when a person comes in with pancreatitis. Then one more on day one, we have white blood cell count. And those of you who know about red cell count, white cell count, when you get an infection, the higher the number, the worse it is, right? So when you get to 16, that is way too high. So number 16, you have to know what is the cutoff number for white blood cell count, right? Is it like 9? Is it 10? Is it 11, 12? You know, it's all getting bad. So at what point are they saying that this is really not good? We don't like it when it hits the number 16,000, right? So we usually just think of it as the first two numbers is how we will refer to it. So all you have to remember is 16. What does 16 represent? Well, it ends in a 6, which is the color purple. And number 16 represents the prince and princess of peace. They're brothers and sisters, right? And the symbol that I'm using is the proud peacock with that letter P, prince, princess, peacock, proud peacock, royal peacock, right? So you're going to have this purple peacock, and these represent some white cells here. And so these 5 things are going to be what's important. Let me see. I could probably, I don't know if I can get it, put number 5 here. Okay. And this probably I could tab over. I don't know. Whoops. Let's see that again. I don't know if I can move it over. Just kind of line it up with the others. Okay. So let's try to rehearse then as you're remembering this, because this is what you have to do. You're going to be closing your eyes and you're going to have 5 things now that you have to remember on the day of admission. So the first thing, so let's just do the symbol. Let's not even worry about what they mean. And that's what's so cool about this. You don't even have to remember what they mean. It's going to make sense. Just get those symbols in order. You've got this blue prophet with this blue rod in his hand, right? And I think you have an airplane, right, with the crystal on the windshield, and you've got the sugar crystals falling off into the sky, right? And the next thing you have, the rose, right? After that, between the 2 airplanes is the black rose with the acid being poured on the rose, turning it black. Remember, it's turning the blue rose black and taking the rod from the blue prophet and turning that black too. So you've got LDH, lactic acid. So that number, we know the rose series has to do with Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden itself. These are gardeners with their roses taking care of the garden. So that's the 300 series. And remember, 30 were the trees. So it made sense to me to make the gardener, the 300 series. So it's kind of like the 30s of the trees, 300 becomes the garden. So I try to kind of make sense of the symbols. So as you're moving from one to the other, they sort of go together in a group, right? You'll see that sort of systematic evolution taking place in the system. All right, so the next one, you remember you have 2 black airplanes, so now you have a black airplane going around in circles, spinning using this black. It's because the rod is turned black. It's got this black rod in this alcoholic beverage, which is really kind of acidic, in the middle of the sky going around in revolutions like this, right? So that would be 250. Okay, so that's perfect. Then below that, we have our purple peacock, and it's sick, and its white count is elevated, matching its number at 16, right? So you've got this whole thing set up, and you have these images. Then you can go back and put, what did the prophet, this blue prophet holding up that rod mean? It was the age 55, blue prophet, greater than 55. The airplane with the crystallized windshield and the sugar crystals falling down to the ground through the sky. That's the sugar value over 200. This black rose with the black rod, lactic acid, LDH. Okay. And then we have this black airplane going around in revolutions mixed with this black rod in this really bad acidic alcoholic drink, right? 250, right, is the liver. So it's going to make because it's alcohol, it affects your liver. So that's the liver enzyme AST. That's going to be affected. Then you come on down to your purple peacock that's sick with the white cell count up to 16. So day 1, admission, pancreatitis, done and dusted, as they say, right? There's no way I'm going to forget that. I wish I had this in my memory banks back in the day when everybody needed to know this. And it was like, what was it again? Was it 350, 250, 200? What? Memorize this. Close your eyes. Take a picture of it. And I dare you to try to forget this stuff. If you just put half of an effort, a few minutes And you can use space repetition for this. This is perfect for space repetition. Do this today, and then 2 days from now, and then 3 days. And as you begin to knock this off and remember it, 1 week from today, 2 weeks. And this image is going to stick in your mind. Just remember that airplane twirling with the black rod. Just remember the acid being poured from that flute onto the blue rose that turned it black and then turned the rod black, right? The blue prophet holding up his blue rod. The black plane with the crystallized sugar on its windshield with all these sugar molecules falling all over the place. And the poor peacock, with a white count of 16. I'm thinking day one, there's no way I'm going to have a problem with this. And this was a big thing back in my day. People didn't know this stuff. They got it wrong all the time. And probably are still getting it wrong. And if they would just use this system, they'd never get it wrong. So let's move on to day 2. Okay, just to show you that you can use this to do mathematics. You can use it to do history. And I'm going to show you, remember the states, remember the Constitution, remember presidents, the order that presidents came and states joined the union, just all kinds of stuff. Because the system, as long as you remember, you have to take the time to just learn the system, and it's not that difficult. I think I did a good job laying it out. This year, I really had an opportunity to kind of crystallize the system. But before, I was kind of fooling around with it for a few years, but now I've kind of like had the time at home after a really bad injury where I fractured my back and my heel, shattered my heel. Shattered, not fractured my heel, shattered. I mean, in pieces. If you saw the X-ray and the CT scan, you'd be shocked. And even my ankle, my fibula, the base of it broke off. So I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair, all of these things for a long time. I had to be carried. I couldn't walk. I had to hop everywhere I went. It was terrible. I'm doing a little bit better. Also, my back compression fracture fell off a 13-foot ladder. Yes, okay. So, but you make lemonade out of sour lemons. So getting sick, it gave me the opportunity to finish my system, to really get into it, to fine-tune it, to kind of get the chart ready. So I think I'm up to in the 60s with the actual chart. And I love the way I set the chart up. I hope you appreciate it. I hope you like it. I hope that people will start to use it. And I'm going to try to finish that chart. It's very time consuming because I'm not an artist. But Canva has been very, very useful. I'm telling you, Canva has been a godsend in kind of putting a lot of this stuff together because it allowed me to substitute. I put a lot of their symbols in, which they allow me to use. And then as I make my own artwork, I swap it out, right? So you can do the same thing, and it works beautifully for me. So now let's get on with it, shall we? We're up to date. 48 hours, how this person with the pancreatitis from all that alcohol is doing, signs that they may not be doing that well. Okay, let's take a look at something we call calcium, right? We take calcium, helps you to make strong bones. We get it in milk and dairy and so forth. And it's important, especially as you get older. I needed to have stronger bones when I fell off that 13-foot ladder. One of the things is I am allergic to milk. And so for years, I did not drink milk. Right. And some of the milk or that, the lactate and all this stuff, it doesn't really taste all that great. So I didn't drink a lot of milk, and I wasn't taking that much calcium either. I have to admit, as a physician, that was terrible. So, but I did exercise a lot. I did walk a lot, and I thought that would compensate. So it does not. You do need to have a certain amount of calcium. Okay, my camera just switched over again. It does this periodically, as I said. Okay, so anyway, talking about calcium, I have here the 8. It needs to be, if it drops below 8, right, this is the problem in this case. So 8 is represented by Pegasus horse here, the winged horse. So I have him or her, actually it's a her. Pegasus is actually a female. So she is holding on to this. This is supposed to be like a bone, calcium bone, and then I think this represents milk. And I think this here you can see looks like cheese, right? These are the things with calcium. And I have her going downward because her calcium is dropping and she doesn't have enough calcium in her body. So if she hits the ground, she's going to have some problems, right? So I have Pegasus horse representing serum calcium. So you have to imagine Pegasus horse with holding the bone in her mouth, and she's got some cheese and she's got, some milk and everything. She's trying to help herself out. Now, the next thing that we have to worry about is something called a hematocrit. That's the concentration of the red blood cells in your body when you first come in. And if it drops greater than 10%, right? This is a percent fall. It's not a good sign. You want to keep your blood up because you need a lot of energy at this point. You certainly don't want to be losing anything. So I have here 10 is represented by the black jaguar, okay? And so I have it's kind of like, maybe you can, I don't want to be gorish, but you can think of it having a little bit of a wound, maybe from the head, and maybe it's got a little bit of a gash. And so blood is coming from it as it's going down. It's losing like 10%, so it's a fall, so it's loose. So I have them heading downward to give you the impression that these things are falling, and it's not good. The calcium is falling. It's not good at 8. Less than and going below 8, and this one is hematocrit is falling below 10%, and that's not good. All right, so we have that. Then over here I have something called hypoxemia. Your arterial oxygen is less than 60 millimeters of mercury. So this is like a pressure. It has to do with oxygen and how well your body is oxygenated. Just like you need blood, you need proper amount of oxygen. We measure this from the blood to see how well the person is doing, and do they need oxygen? Do they need to be on a ventilator and so forth? If it drops below 60, and so that's not good. So 60 has to do with the series of lanterns, right? Remember the virgins, the 5 foolish, and the 5 wise. And so these are the lantern series. 60 ends in 0, so it's the black lantern. And I found this little element in Canva. It looks like bubbles. This represents oxygen. That's just to give you the idea that we're talking about some kind of oxygen level, and we call it hypoxemia when you're not properly oxygenated. And when that's measured from the artery, this is arterial oxygen, it's going to, if it's less than 60, that's not good. So you'll find people checking the arteries, and why are they doing that? Because that's important, obviously, in how well the person is going to do. And doctors like to know these things, right? So you see the lantern, and it's facing down, and the oxygen bubbles are floating up to give you to remind you that this is the arterial oxygen. And if it's less than 60, then it's a problem. So we've got Pegasus horse, we've got the jaguar with the blood falling, hematocrit, and then we've got the hypoxemia, less than 60. We've got the black lantern with the oxygen. The next thing we want to go to is like the kidneys, right? You want to see how your kidneys are functioning. So you've got your bone, you've got your blood, you've got your oxygen, you've got your kidneys. Here, the BUN, in this case, is actually going up. Those things are falling, and these are now going up. You'll see I kind of divided them in half. The BUN is blood, urea, nitrogen. That has to do with your kidney, how well hydrated a person is, right? If you're very dehydrated, your BUN gets increased. That's just something that you have to learn, right? So if it goes higher than 5, that means your kidney's not functioning well, because the kidney's job is to keep you fairly well high. It balances things so you don't have too much water or too little, right? So the kidneys are not working properly. So that's what this is indicating. So the BUN is rising. Think of it almost like a bun rising, and it's about to explode, right? So I have number 5 is represented by the blue elephant, right? So I have the blue elephant here holding on to a bun. Maybe he's eating a bun. Think of it inside of his tusk, the elephant tusk. He's holding the bun, and I have a kidney here. So you can think of it as, just remember the kidney in case you don't know, but you should know, those people who need to know knows the BUN has to do with the kidney. All right, so that's the number 5. All right, so you've got Haggis' horse, the jaguar, the lantern, and you've got the blue elephant with the bun. Then we come down here to something called a base deficit, right? Whereas before, the first day, we were looking at lactic acid and how it turned the rose black and the rod black, right? So that was the 350 LDH. Over here, we have a base deficit, meaning, so you need to have a balance, neutral. We like neutrality in the body. And you can either have too much acid or too little. It's not good to have too much or too little. You have to have the right amount. So if the loss or the deficit, the lack of what you need to have has dropped greater than 4 milliequivalents per liter, that is not good. So you have negative base excess, right? So we have 4, and the symbol for 4 is the green dog, right? So here you have the green dog. I tried to find something that made me think of base. It was difficult to find in Canva, but I don't know if anybody has a better idea for the image. I just have this little beaker, and think of it as having base. I didn't know if I should put some lime in. I was trying to, how do I represent base, the base? It's very, with the acid, you can think of the lactic acid, but this one was a little bit more difficult. So I have it here to represent it the best I could. So the base, the negative base excess is 4, and it's with the green dog, so it's like on the back of the green dog, or you can imagine it being poured on the green dog. So just as long as you put the two together, keep the image of the base excess with the green dog, you should be fine. Or negative base excess, I should say. Then we go down here to another thing that's really important. Fluid management is everything when you deal with patients like this. So you have fluids being absorbed into body chambers, parts of the body where it shouldn't be. And if that moves into areas where it shouldn't be, greater than 6 liters of it is sequestered. That is not good. So the number 6 is represented by the firefox. So I have here sort of like a fluid bag. I was trying to use this as a representation in my mind to remind me that it has to do with fluids, and being that it's the firefox that I use. It's the last one here of the group. There are 6 of them. There was, I think, 5 of those and like 6 of these. There may be more, but these are the basic ones. So all you have to do is now keep these in order. So you start off with Haggis, heading down with the bone, calcium bone, so that's 8. You've got the jaguar with maybe a head wound, blood coming, so that hematocrit, and that's 10% because he's the jaguar. What percentage loss? It's not 20%, it's not 30%, it's 10%. And then we have the lantern and black lantern and the oxygen going up, so we know it's 60, anything below 60. And then we have the elephant with the bun and the kidney, and that's the 5. Is the BUN if it goes up above 5. And then you have the base, the negative base excess, 4 milliequivalents per liter, and you've got green dog, Then we have sequestration of fluids, and that's going to be Firefox. So just first thing you want to get straight is not the information, get the symbols that you've already assigned in some kind of order, whether it's going horizontally or vertically. Get it in order, because that's how you're going to remember it. And it's going to stay in your mind, in your visual mind, because you're almost putting it into a location, right? You're creating a scene and you're putting things into a location. You can move some of these things into other locations, but since this is set up so nicely, I just decided to keep it this way and keep it in a vertical fashion and try to memorize it like this. But sometimes I'll move it into like the memory palace, and you can do that too as well. So we're all set here, and I think that's very, very nice. Very, very nice. Let me see. And this is another volume, more of a rectangle, and length times width times height. And so you would do the same thing as we did for the volume of the cylinder, right? And you would simply go into your elements. I think I had, let me see. Was this it? No, wait, let me try to find this real quick. Thought I had that here, but okay, we talked about it, but let me go ahead and see if I have it in my uploads. I probably do have it. The lion. Okay. You know what? Let me undo that. Let's put it where I want it. So the way Canva is working, this bottom is your timeline. And you can click on each one as you go along, or you can use this little scroll bar at the bottom to pull it over to where you want to be, bring it a little bit closer to you. And then you can reach what you're looking for. I think that's what I wanted right there. So when you want to bring something over, these are ones that I uploaded, by simply dragging the image right in here, or you can upload and then go into your file and bring it out. You can do it either way. The simplest one is to just hold your file open, and whatever it is you want, you just drag it over and it takes it right in. So I would if I want to bring this lion in, that's how I bring him in. Okay, just click it and it comes right in. So we've got our lion. And then I need my wolf. I need my yellow wolf. Let's see if I can find him. Let's hope I have him here. Okay, here. Okay, here's my yellow wolf. Maybe we should have them facing each other. That'd be kind of interesting. Let me see. Let's make the lion comparable size to the wolf. And we can bring in good old Pegasus. Let's see. Okay, all right. Command C to copy. And Command V as in Victor, to paste. And let me just ungroup this one again. This was grouped. I don't need that part. I can delete it. And let's straighten it out a bit. And then once again, to flip it, to bring it in the opposite direction, which is really nice that Canva makes this so easy. See how quickly that turns? Oops. Uh-oh. And you can bring it down here. Let me bring her up. So since she can fly, if you want to, it's the height. You can bring her up a little bit. So you've got the lion. And, well, you know, we had the violin, right? We did have the violin. We had our dancing violin. Let's see. Let me copy that. Command C. And come back over here. Command V. And if you have a PC, it would be Control V. All right, so you can use this to change the angle of the element. So, all right. So it's kind of like, okay, there's a party going on here, or there's going to be a fight. Oh, yeah. And it's dancing like, oh, come on, everybody. Let's happen. Guess what's going to happen? The lion and the wolf are facing off. Yes. And here's Pegasus up here going, no, come on, guys. Come on, guys. Pegasus is really nice. And she's a woman. So she's like a female winged horse. And she's like, okay, guys. No, none of this fighting. Just calm down. Meanwhile, the violin is like, yeah. Twin Boy's like, oh, there's going to be a fight. There's going to be a fight, So this is the volume here. And you've got the lion facing off with the wolf. So length times width times height. And Pegasus, she's here flying down on top of them saying, no, 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 break it up, boys. She's kind of coming in here. Here she is in the center, sort of telling them to break it up, right? So that's kind of that fight between the lion and the wolf. Okay. And Pegasus is saying, no, we are not doing this today. Meanwhile, violin is being very bad and singing that fight song, like fight, 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 fight. No, we don't want that. Okay. We do not want that. Okay, we don't want any of that. We want peace. So Pegasus is right. Let's calm down. And so the violin will go into something very nice, very Mozart-y, very classical. Let's just have calm. We study with Mozart. I understand that that's the best music to study by. Not fight music, but classical music. Yeah, Mozart, any one of those guys. In the classical arena, the genre, that's where you want to stay, and it will help you to study. So imagine the violin is playing one of the classical pieces. And so now you notice that the lion and the wolf, they're looking at us like, we were never going to do anything. Look at the wolf like, no, not at all. And Pegasus is like, good boys, very good boys, right? So that is a scene of the volume, so of this rectangle. So it's length times width times height. And that's a nice way to remember things, isn't it? A whole lot more. It makes a lot more sense. You have a scene here going on, right? A fight scene that turned into something nice and friendly. Adversaries becoming friends. That's how we like it. Yes, that's how we do it here at the Rainbow. Okay, now let's see. So that's really nice. So that's kind of like one of the things I wanted to go over to show you how nice Canva is. And so here are a lot of my images that I've uploaded, right? And then, like I said, you can go into Canva and type in whatever you want, and you can see a lot of things in here that it can provide. Stickers. If you want to get stickers, lots of fun stickers that you can do a lot of stuff with, and you just hit the arrow to come out. Okay, then text. If you want to type something, you can make use of some of these. These are already pre-made texts, and they're pretty nice. I love this one. It's very nice. Huge. You can change the color right there. It wouldn't fit. You can make it green. Let's see, green, right? Or red. Okay, and you just hit delete when you're done. You can hit a heading, and you can put this. Let's see, drag it down below, and you can make it, write it. This is going to be fight abate. Fight resolved. Okay, so that's like a fight scene resolved. So that's really nice. Okay. So you could do that, and you can go in and change the font. Like, for example, if you clicked on this is one of my favorite fonts. You click on that little down arrow, and I like Montserrat, but you can change it to Gordon. You can change it to this. See how they change right there? Horizon. Okay, and I'll put it back to part of my brand. You can, when you, let's see, this is my kit. Let's see if I click on it, what happens? Wait. Oh, I would have to hit the edit button. I think it allows you to go in and make edits of your brand kit. That's something I had already created. Let's see. You go in here, these are your projects, and you can, these are all the projects that I've been designing using Canva. You can just scroll down and see the whole bunch of them. They make it easy for you to find your projects. If you want to find photos, these are photos, not mine, these are by other artists that are, and they provide, let me do this so I don't have to mess up this particular nice image. If you wanted to, oh, look at that, that's the square root of xy. Let's see. Here is, I don't want to make anyone hungry bringing up food, but here is a nice scene. If you wanted to do something and you want the scene, you can expand it, just pull it out by the handles. These are handles on the side. You can use this handle. Some of them will have this little vertical bar, and if that's the case, you can use that handle too to bring it all the way out. Or you can bring it back in. You can crop. By using up here, go up here to this menu bar. You can crop the image. You notice these symbols show up here at the edge. If you bring it, and you notice that's okay, so that crops that image for you. And you can edit that image by going here. If you want to add shadows to it, you want to remove the background from it, Canva has a beautiful background remover. I don't know if this will be a perfect one to use it on, but let me see if it would take it out. Let's see. Okay, let's take a look. While it's doing that, you can erase it, you can restore it, and you can change, once you have the background removed, you can replace it with any background you want, and it's usually pretty fast. This one is taking a little bit longer than it normally takes, but oh, there it goes. There it is. This is not, I didn't think this was the greatest image to use it on. So it got rid of this background, but it did take a little bit of this table. But what you can do is you can hit the restore. You can get a brush. Okay, so see this brush right here? And you can see how that comes right back, because that shouldn't have been removed. So you can come in here and restore anything that was taken away that shouldn't be taken away. And you can just slowly take your time and bring it back. So all you have, and when you're done, you can just say done, okay? And so you can see that's kind of cool right there. And you can put behind it, you can change the background, which would be backgrounds. You can change the color, which is green. And the nice thing about Canva, if you wanted to, you could change all the colors. I think sometimes it comes up at the bottom and it says, do you want to change all the colors? Didn't do it this time, but a lot of times it allows you to change all of these background colors all at once. As you're working on the project, it can do that. You can use some of these, and look at that. She's in the sky working on in her laptop. How nice. And so you can choose all kind of funky images for your background. You can also it's probably not the best one to use to animate. You click on the image and you can animate the image by panning it. See how it just moves in that direction? As you move it, it will pan. You can change that too. And you can change the direction that it moves in. You can move it that way if you want, versus see how it goes this way, and then the other one goes the other way. Okay. You can breathe. Breathe. See how that just comes in nicely? It's just like breathe. Very nice. So lots of things to do here. And I think we did the photos, right? You can do music. I'm not going to play the music because I think you have to download it with Canva's permission. When I do the download, I can attach the music. But all you have to do, I don't want to mess with it right now since it's going to be on YouTube and I don't want to strike. So you can see the music there. Hopefully it's okay to even show it. Okay, videos. If you want to do a video, you can do that as well. You can. These are little videos. And you can see how many minutes, you see how it's moving, right? See that? So you can add that to your work. And you can put pictures and different things on top of the video. It's really, really nice. Okay, so I can just erase that. And I think we did the backgrounds before, yes. That's just some project of mine. Those are your own projects that you can put as folders on the side so you can find things a little bit faster. And these are starred things. If you have if things that you starred as you're going through and you're looking for stuff, you can star them so that they're easy for you to find when you come back. This is nice. Giphy. I use this a lot. People like to use these little GIFs. You know, this is so cute. You've got this cat on top of a unicorn. That's amazing. For me, this would be yellow cat on top of the red unicorn. So that would be 3 on top of 21. So this might be 321 if it's properly color coded. You could have the cat riding the unicorn, and in its position it might be a 3, or you could make it a 300 and put instead a rose there. You know, like a yellow rose would be like 303, or a black rose would be 321. So there are different ways, depending on how you want to use it. But that's kind of interesting. All right. And some of these are so cute. All right. Now, let's see. Canva also has text to image. Let me see. If you wanted to, let's see if I can find a blank. Text to image, you can go in here and you can just simply type something in that you would like. Okay, my card is full, so it will no longer show. I'm going to have to change that. Let's see. Okay, give me 1 second. Probably I could pause it. Let's see if it can be paused. Let's see if I want to. Okay, so it looks like we're live again. And what happened is the camera, which constantly cuts out every, 20 or so minutes, did so. And also the card filled up with the recording. So I'm probably going to kind of tie things up here. And probably maybe tomorrow I'll do the text to image. I'll go over some of that AI Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Tomorrow, when I live stream again, probably around the same time, between 1 and 2 o'clock or so, I will try to look at the Chat GPT style AI that Canva has and how it works, because it's actually very interesting. Okay, so that was actually a good session today. I definitely enjoyed it. Hopefully, whoever is watching this on the replay will get something out of it and see how I have learned to use Canva to help augment the memory rainbow technique, to help me study, to learn all sorts of things, historical facts, formulas, math, everything can be done with the memory rainbow system. So thank you very much. And please subscribe to this channel, because I need your help. That way YouTube will, through its algorithm, show this to other people. So please, if you see this on the replay, please go ahead and subscribe and like it. This will definitely help me tremendously. I really appreciate it. And you have a blessed day. All right. So let's end.